Everybody wants to make it sound easy to start a business. Just throw up a website, start your IG account, and the clients are just gonna come flocking in. But there are so many things behind the scenes of just those steps that you need to figure out. So take it from me, an accredited small business consultant with 7 years coaching small business owners and almost 25 years in business myself. Here are 10 things I beg you to do before you start your business. And stick around to the end because I'm gonna share how you can avoid the biggest mistakes that trip up new business owners as well. The number one thing to do before you start a business is good old-fashioned market research. Before you do anything else, you need to figure out if your business idea is even viable. So, who else is doing it? What do your ideal clients, not just you, say is missing in those other companies? What do customers actually want? How do they want it? And where do they go to find it? Good market research makes 90% of your decisions for you. It's gonna tell you where to market, how to market, what your offers should be, your price points, your branding decisions. All of these things should be made by the people who are going to be paying you for the stuff you sell. Let me repeat that. The decisions you make in your business should be made by the people paying you. If you want any of that stuff to sell, they're the ones paying for it. Let's validate your ideas with their feedback. But what most businesses do is they get built on assumptions and personal opinions. And while that is a great starting point, it doesn't take you very far. There are things you don't see because you're too close to it. There are also things you don't see because you're one person. When you gain feedback from your ideal clients, you gain an advantage. You figure out what other companies are doing that you might like, but they don't. You figure out what's gonna excite them or what problems they have that others aren't solving. And you figure out the positioning, the messaging, the words that are gonna speak so much louder to your ideal audience. I want you to think of it this way. Pretend that you speak one language and your ideal audience speaks another. Even when you are your ideal audience, this is the case, and you're too close to see it. But what good market research is gonna do, it's gonna help you understand the language that they have. So you're not gonna be using industry jargon, you're not gonna be speaking from the place you're in now, you're gonna understand where they're at and be able to use their language. This means your messaging is clearer, it's stronger, and it's more magnetic. And you only get this language through good market research. This means market research is not surveys, polls, journal prompts, or guessing. Inside my program, Breakthrough Boss, I show my students how to get people on a video call with you. And then I tell you what questions to ask them and how to use their answers to design everything you're doing, using their exact words in some cases. The people who don't follow that guidance and instead do surveys, they don't get the same clarity as the ones who do calls. So please don't skimp on this. Make sure you are doing market research face to face with another person to get their exact words, their exact emotions, their body language, their facial expressions, so that you can truly understand if your idea is gonna sell. The second thing to do before you start your business is clearly define your ICA, your ideal client or customer avatar. Once you've done the calls that we were just talking about for the market research, you're gonna use the answers that you gained to define your ICA in two ways. The first is demographics. This is usually things like age, gender, education, income level, where they live. These are things basically that you would find on a survey. Now, these do not matter in most businesses, but in some cases, they matter a lot. Like if you work with women going through menopause, you have a certain age range you're gonna be talking to. Remembering that can help you adjust your stories, your examples, your marketing, your messaging to things that are gonna be relevant to them. But for most people, age, gender, those things are not what matters. What really matters is number two, the psychographics. Psychographics are who they are, what are their goals, their struggles, what they've tried, why they didn't like it, maybe common personality traits that you find between them, common values. It's not that every client will 100% fit the bill of your ideal client avatar, but you're looking for commonalities, you're looking for overlap, where they apply to your business. For example, if you're a cleaning company, you don't need to know their political views, but you might want to know their ecological views if you're doing something like green cleaning. If you're a bookkeeper, you might not need to know their religious beliefs unless you are religious and want to make that part of your brand. So ask yourself, as it pertains to your business, which demographics matter or are likely to show up in the majority of your clients and customers, and which psychographics matter, including their goals, the results that they're after, the problems that they're facing as it pertains to the solutions you provide with your offer or your product or service. Now, why does all this matter? The more personal detail you know about your ICA, your ideal client avatar, the more you can add it to your marketing and your messaging, and the stronger that messaging gets. It's important to understand that all marketing should repel and attract, and everything you say is doing one or the other. If you have a clear understanding of the demographics and the psychographics that apply for your ideal client, you're going to be able to use that, for instance, in stories or in images. But one of the most important overlooked things in all of this is really understanding the words that your ideal client uses. If you are using words that pertain to you, your industry, your jargon, you're going to lose your audience because that's not what they're thinking. For example, a personal trainer might want to say, I provide a structured strength and nutrition program, but their audience might not want to hear that. They may want to hear, I help you lose weight without going to the gym. These aren't things you will know until you do the market research and get into conversations with your ideal client, getting their words as they say them so that you can use them in your marketing. Another example might be a bookkeeper who would want to say, we provide accurate financial tracking, where their clients just might want to hear, hey, we're going to take this off your plate so you can stop worrying about screwing up your taxes. Or a coffee shop might say, we serve artisanal high quality coffee, when the customer just wants to hear good coffee with nobody rushing you out. Again, you're going to speak louder and clearer to the people who need you when you use their words, not yours. They're going to see your stuff and say, OMG, I already love this business, or holy crap, I was just saying the same thing last night, or it's like you were reading my mind. If you're not hearing things like that, chances are you don't know your ICA enough. The third thing you need to do before starting your business is to define your brand and create a brand guide based on that definition. Your brand isn't just a logo and colors. A brand is the mark you leave on your ideal clients or customers. It's how you make them feel, it's your vibe, and so many other things. Your market research, again, is going to tell you a lot of this. It's going to help you to understand if your brand needs to be encouraging versus direct versus fun-loving, but you get to decide this too. I want you to look for a sweet spot between what you can do and what the market needs or wants, what your market specifically needs or wants. An example of this is a client of mine, Erica, who owns a yoga studio. Now, her whole goal is to meet the needs of beginner yogis. This is based off of the demographics in her area. So instead of a serious yoga studio, she has made this fun. She talks about wobbling and falling down and popping back up and laughing. She's created a brand that is welcoming and community-based. And she's done this through her social media posts, the images on her website, the text on her website. Everything she does, she makes sure that it aligns with this vibe, with the way that she wants to impact her ideal clients. Remember, a brand is not just how things look. It's the impact, the lasting impact that you're leaving on the people you're serving. Once you know that, how you want people to feel, then a brand guide can help you stay consistent so that customers immediately recognize and trust you. So in Erica's case, once she knew the way she wanted to make people feel, then she could take that into the colors or the images on her website. She can hold up everything she creates against this brand of being light and fun and playful. This doesn't mean everything that happens in the studio is light and fun and playful. They have some more serious classes, but that outgoing brand is welcoming. Colors, images, layout, all of these things should be based on the impact or the impression, not the preference of the business owner. All of it should be done with the goal of creating the right vibe. Another example is my use of triangles. I use triangles because I tend to teach about things in three. I talk about the 3 seasons of business. I talk about the 3 areas that we need to improve to be successful. skill set, mindset, and success habits. And I use triangles because I tend to be more direct. Circles and flowy images and pastels are softer than my personality. And so I use my branding to help set up an expectation for what you're gonna get when you're working with me. Or another great example would be my husband's business. As a contractor, he's really set himself apart by being a perfectionist, by cleaning up as he goes, keeping things organized. And so his branding reflects that. It's clean, it's organized, it's minimal. It's also very casual to match his clients' ideals and his brand experience. In other words, what his clients will experience when they are working with him. These are not things that he prefers, they're things he uses to set a tone when clients first come to engage with him. So keep this in mind, branding is not just the way things look, and it's definitely not what we prefer. Branding is the impact we're going to leave and making sure that what we create matches that impact. Okay, the fourth thing that you need to do before you start your business is to design a product pathway. A product pathway is what I call how you structure your offers in a way that leads clients naturally from interested to ready to buy to the next offer to the next offer. And I actually encourage people to think of this kind of like the difference between a craft fair and a driveway. When you go into a craft fair, you're kind of just wandering all over the place. There's not really clear direction. You're jumping from one thing to the next. Maybe you buy some stuff, maybe you just walk around and walk right out again. But with a driveway, you're creating one line of offers. One thing leads to the next thing, leads to the next thing. This helps clients face one decision at a time and lead them to the next decision when it's time. Ideally, and this is different for different businesses, but one offer should solve one problem, but kind of lead them to the next problem. Or maybe it helps them accomplish the first goal or the first level, but then it provides help for the next goal or the next level. A great example of this for a product-based business is I once bought a tripod, and after I bought it, they promoted a remote that just slides on your finger. This was such a natural progression from one problem to the next problem. Or here's another example from my business. If you get into my Breakthrough Boss program, it helps you plan, build, and scale to 6 and multi-6 figures. But once you get to scaling, you tend to want more support. You need less DIY and more consultation. So while Breakthrough Boss is answering a lot of questions and helping you get to a lot of places, at this point, you may need to get into the inner circle and work one-on-one with me and other clients. So I'm solving one problem, but leading you to the next level. So whether you are product-based or service-based, try to think of your offers as being one cohesive line, one thing leading to the next, leading to the next. A product pathway won't apply to all businesses, but even product-based businesses should be thinking in terms of at least collections, things that belong together, instead of separate offers, so that they can increase their AOV, average order value, and their LTV, lifetime value. This is essentially how much people are buying from you and how often they're buying from you. Also, remember that when you have a product pathway, you won't launch everything at once. When you're starting your business, focus on what is closest to cash and have a plan as to when you're going to introduce the rest. That usually happens after the first one is converting well and easy to operate, and you have the ability to take on more. The fifth thing you need to do before you start your business is figure out pricing. Don't guess. Get this right before you launch. Pricing isn't picking a random number or charging what you're worth. It's about understanding perceived value from your ideal client's perspective, industry standards, and profit margins. One of the biggest mistakes I see is setting prices based on what you would pay instead of what your ideal client is actually willing to pay. A lot of times we don't value the things we do because they come easily to us. We need to understand how our ideal client values it so that we can charge appropriately. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, but it is so true. If you are undercharging, you're gonna sell less than if you're charging the correct amount. This is because people will look at the perceived value based on the price tag and assume that the skill or the product is not as good as it should be. Some people might be looking for the cheapest thing, some people are looking for the most expensive thing, but most people are looking for the value behind the thing. Another big mistake I I see is overcharging when you're a new service or a new provider, or undercharging when you have more experience. Again, it comes down to the value your ideal client puts on it. It doesn't matter if you're only at a level 4 in skills. If you're providing those skills to someone who's at a level 1, you're doing fantastic work for them. As long as you're clear about what you can and can't do, charge what your audience will allow you to charge, as much as they will allow you to charge. Don't compete on price, compete on value. Now, I teach some pricing formulas in depth in my Breakthrough Boss program because you need to know the right way to do this. But since we don't have time to go through all of them, here's a quick overview of how to figure out your pricing. First of all, figure out your total business expenses and your cost of goods sold. This is essentially all the money going out every single month. Then figure out how much profit you want to make in a month and how many of your offer you can sell in a month given the time you have to either make the thing, order the thing, outsource the thing, or do the services yourself. What is the max amount you can offer given the time or bandwidth or resources you have available? Don't forget to add in hidden expenses like drive time, prep time, taxes. Those sort of things creep up on people and rob you of your profits. So let's say you're a bookkeeper who wants to make $10K a month and you want to work 20 hours a week to do it. And let's say your expenses are like $2,000. So $2,000 for your expenses plus $10,000 for your ideal revenue means $12K a month is what you need to be shooting for to earn. Now we're going to divide this by 80 hours a month, your ideal of 20 hours a week, and we're going to get $150 an hour as an ideal price range. Now, this is just an example. Depending on your business, you may need a different formula, but this is a rough idea to help you do the math to understand what you're going to need to earn to be able to make the money you want to make in the time you have to make it. Number 6, what you need to do before you start your business: develop a whole ass business and marketing plan. I talk about this in my free Profits Not Problems class, which I highly recommend you attend. I'll link it below. It's a great place to start so that you are not making the same mistakes other business owners are making. You're learning better from day one. But having a real business and marketing plan actually makes you 152% more likely to even launch the business and 260% more likely to be able to scale it. Why? Most people start a business with no direction. They jump in and they waste a lot of time trying stuff or trying to figure out what to try. They're wasting time and money. They're blowing through all of their resources, and they're never getting to the stage of making profits because they didn't go into it with a plan. But with a plan, you've already figured it all out, and all you're doing is showing up and implementing every single day. You get faster results because you did the hard part already. A business plan covers your goals, revenue streams, operations, strategy, branding. It's basically all the things that we've talked about, but in detail. It may also cover some more in-depth market analysis or competitors. And it includes your marketing plan, which breaks down how you're gonna actually get clients. The beauty isn't exactly in the plan itself, though. It's in the market research that went into the plan that shows you what to do and helps you avoid throwing money at the wrong stuff. The research needed to create a plan is where the magic is. The plan just organizes the research and turns it into actionable steps. So if you feel like you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, this is why. You need a legitimate business and marketing plan. The next thing to do before you start your business is make sure that you can grab your URL and your usernames and that everything is designed for conversions. Only after all of those 6 things are done do you want to try to secure your domain, your social handles, and do all of this designing of your website and your social pages with clear calls to action. The reason we wait for all of those other things to be done is that the market research, the decisions, the clarity that comes through all of that might change these things a dozen times. I tend to see people do this backwards though. They get an idea, they immediately go out and secure the domain name, and then they end up with like 20 domain names because they kept changing their mind. Do the research, do the heavy lifting, do the planning, and then once you have it all, go out and get your URL. A couple tips to keep in mind for this: KISS. Keep it super simple. Keep it all easy to remember, easy to spell. If you're using your name and your last name is Polish, this is probably not going to be easy to spell unless you are marketing only to Polish people. The whole reason my website is exotara.us, well, number one, .com wasn't available at the time, but number two, that was easier for people to remember than Tara Wagner. It is more important that your names are clear and memorable than it is that they are clever. Remember that. Clear over clever. Also, when you are designing your website, for most businesses, you will only need a one-page website. So don't drop tons of hours, tons of money on this really elaborate website. Chances are your website is going to change so much in the first year. Stick to a one-page website until you're really clear on what you want to do based on the feedback that you're getting as you're running your business. You're going to save yourself a lot of time and headache if you do. And if you don't think you can have a successful business with a one-page website, I dare you to Google one-page website designs or 7-8-figure businesses with a one-page website. You're going to be surprised how many people out there only have a one-page website. To give you an example of what a one-page website for a service-based business would be, this is going to look like a hero section with a really strong statement and a CTA, a call to action button that probably jumps them directly to the CTA at the bottom of that page. You might have an about section, some testimonials or social proof, authority, whether this is your expertise, your training, your certificates, or what other people have said about your work. And then that call to action is going to be something like book a call, request a bid, buy the offer right here perhaps, apply. Keep this very simple because the majority of your selling is not going to happen through the website. It's going to happen through conversations, through social media, and other means. In some cases, that one-page website could actually be a full sales page if you're only selling one thing. Or your one-page website might just be a lead magnet opt-in that pulls people into your email list that does the majority of the selling. If you're inside Breakthrough Boss already, head into the planning roadmap to grab the one-page website templates. These include all the ones we've talked about, sales page, lead magnet page, as well as just a home page. Remember again, it's not about looking cute, it's not about being clever, it's about clarity and conversions. Simple, clean, non-wordy websites do that best. Number 8 on our list of things you need to do before you start your business, get a business license. Nobody talks about this. Is everybody just running around without a business license? You need one to do a legitimate business. Now, how to get one varies. So what you're gonna do is Google your state or county plus business license, and you're gonna call them up and ask them what you need. Do not be embarrassed. They do not expect you to know any of this stuff. They don't expect you to understand it, but they will ask you all the questions that they need to ask you. They'll walk you through all of the legal requirements, and they'll make sure you're covered. Fees for a business license vary by region and industry, so make sure you get a full breakdown from them as well so you can start budgeting for renewals. Ignoring legal steps is going to cost you later, so make sure you ask lots of questions, you double check that you've got everything covered, and you are very diligent about this process. Number 9 to do before you start your business, set up your business financial accounts. First of all, keeping business and personal finances separate is not optional. It is absolutely essential for taxes, for bookkeeping, and for your own sanity. To get you started, I recommend 3 financial accounts. The first is a savings account where you're gonna have some money set aside. This is also gonna hold your money for taxes, it's gonna cover any unexpected expenses, and it may get you through some slow seasons. I have a video on how to figure out how much money you should have saved in this account that I'll link below. Second, you want a business checking account that all your revenue goes into. Every cent of every dollar you make lands in this account. This is gonna help you track everything. It's gonna make it much easier to account for things should you ever get audited. Some people will then have a separate bank account to pay expenses. So in other words, they have an income account and an outgoing account, but I found that this really isn't necessary if you use something like YNAB, which is You Need a Budget, to manage this money. I'll link to a video I did on using YNAB for a business budget. It really makes a huge difference in making sure that you always have enough money set aside to cover cover your expenses and your taxes. You're never hit with a surprise bill when you're using a budgeting software. Now, third is optional, but I do recommend it. Most people will set up a business credit card that they pay off monthly. This is so that you can get points on your expenses, but also it's a security thing. It helps you to avoid bank fraud in your bank account. Credit cards reverse charges a lot faster than banks can replace missing funds. So if you're using your debit card and that number gets swiped or stolen and people are taking money out of your account, that could really set your business back. Using a credit card, paying it off every single month, has so many benefits to it, but one of the biggest really is that security. Now, I cover a lot more on money management in Breakthrough Boss because poor financial systems are why many businesses fail. So check that out for more in-depth help. Number 10, before you start your business, get trademarks, contracts, and other legal ducks in a row. If you have a unique name, product, or brand, you've got to consider trademarking it before someone else does and takes your ability to use it. Contracts are a must if you're working with clients. You need to be protecting your business now to save you from headaches later. And if you're going to have a website, you're going to have the legal pages, disclaimer, terms, and privacy policy. Now, I have a recommendation for legal templates that I'll put in the description. This is the same place I go to, and it's the same place I send all of my clients and my Breakthrough Boss students. Most of the time when you're getting a contract, you're going to spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 per contract versus being able to get all of these templates in one place for just a few $100s. Now, these 10 things are your literal foundation for success. You can't skip them. But my free class, Profits Not Problems, also goes over 5 mistakes that new business owners are encouraged to make. And they're the same 5 mistakes that I fixed to go from broke to 2.6 million in earned income. This class also talks about how you can get my strategies to help you plan and launch a strong business from day one, taking you through all of the things we just talked about here, helping you make them easier. So grab a seat for that class below and make sure you're on the right track right out of the gate. Fist bump for watching to the end, and remember, you got this.